process. He has risen to become a growing authority in the field, holding certifications in medical and laser aesthetics, infectious science, and longevity medicine. Committed to keeping people as healthy as possible for as long as possible. He has an He, as the Chief Scientific Officer, established enterprises providing expert holistic guidance on anti-aging solutions. First, Lumiere Anti-Aging, a company aiming to create innovative anti-aging regimens. Sir Michael Chan, the CEO, House of Gaia with GDP.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me just hold this. Thank you so much, Dr. Lynn Pavel. That was a lovely introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, doctors. First of all, I'd like to start by saying what an honor and privilege it is to be standing before this esteemed body and being given the chance to introduce to you guys what I believe is one of the most exciting and fastest growing fields in longevity science. This is called longevity medicine. Special shout out to Dr. Albert Kironiliad, my good friend, and for allowing me the opportunity to present the William D. Memorial Lecture today. So, my disclosures before I begin. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. I am the author of the book, The Science of Aging Well, How to Look 20 Years Younger. Next slide. And I'm also the CEO of House of Gaia Longevity. House of Gaia is the first and only internationally accredited longevity medicine center in the Philippines. But today, I'm neither going to be talking about the book or our practice, except to give you some clinical studies and methods that I feel will be relevant to the topic that I'm about to discuss. All right, before I begin, with a show of hands, may I know I'm in a room full of medical professionals and doctors. Who among you here today believe that you are right now, at this moment, in perfect physical health? Perfect physical health, raise your hands. You're not overweight, no central obesity, perfect metabolic markers, normotensive, normal glycemic, ideal lipid profiles. Who here today can say they are perfectly healthy? One. All right. Two. Awesome. Okay. So in the 3 years that I've been asking this question, only about 15% can tell me that they are metabolically healthy. And of the 15%, it turns out half of them are actually wrong. So don't feel bad if you don't raise your hands. But here's the thing. 6 years ago, I myself believed that I was in perfect physical health. And then something happened that completely changed my life and completely changed my mind. Next slide, please. 6 years ago, at the age of 47, before that, before that, yeah. 6 years ago, at the age of 47, I married the love of my life, and a few months later, found out that I was going to become a first-time father quite late in life, right? As you can see from the picture, my beautiful wife is a much younger woman, and one day during a casual visit to the OB, she turns to me and she says, "Daddy, I think you need a checkup because you're old, and I want to be sure that the father of my baby will be around a long time to take care of us." Ouch, but fair. But I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried because up until that point, I have been a lifelong athlete. I swam for the varsity swim team at my high school alma mater, Xavier. I played varsity tennis for DNSU. And all throughout my adult life, I've been involved in one sport or another. Golf, weightlifting, super bike racing, practical shooting. So I was very, very confident at that point that I could pass any physical exam that any doctor would give me. And so I turned to my wife and I say, "Yes, I will take the test just to prove to you that your husband is still a young man." And so I take the test. 2 weeks later, I visit the doctor, fully expecting to hear the words, "Mr. Chan, wow, 47. You're perfectly healthy. I don't need to see you for another 2 or 3 years." Instead, he sits me down, it shows me this. Next slide, please. All right, Mr. Chan, based on your lab markers, you can see that you are pre-diabetic and your bad cholesterol is way too high. I need to put you on maintenance medication immediately. So my first question was, Doc, for how long do I have to take the medication? And he says to me, most probably for the rest of your life. And my second question was, doctor, how can that be? I'd exercise 5 days a week. I eat whole wheat bread, brown rice, organic this, organic that. How can I need maintenance medication at this point? And he says to me something that really stuck in my mind. He says, Mr. Chan, that is just a normal part of aging. There's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to accept. That's what he said to me. I just had to accept it. And I couldn't accept, because at that time, I looked like this. I was 15% body fat. I was as strong as a wood. And at the same time, I was pre-diabetic. I was hypercholesterolemic. Later on, I would find out I was insulin resistant. And based on my metabolic markers and my liver enzymes, I most probably had the beginnings of a fatty liver. I told the doctor that I was going to think about it. I went home. I told my wife that everything was okay. But deep down inside, I was really bothered because I wasn't as healthy as I thought. And then 3 months later, this happens. Right. So, if you are a parent, you would know what happens the first time you hold that baby in your arms. At that very moment, my whole life changed. And I knew I had to live another 50 years. Because I wanted to see this baby girl grow up, get married, have a child of her own, and feel the exquisite joy that I was feeling holding her in my arms. And right there and then, I made a decision that I was going to take my health to the highest level possible. And so, the minute we got home, when I took my family home from the hospital, I did what any normal person would do. From the day we came back from the hospital, I've committed myself to reading 2 research papers on metabolic syndrome, hypertension, and diabetes every single morning, and watching 2 hours of medical lectures on the same topic at night. I wasn't a doctor, but I did this for 4.5 years. And that habit I've kept with me even to this day. And this is, at that point, this is where I discovered longevity medicine. Next slide, please. So what is longevity medicine? Longevity medicine is medicine that is designed to take you past average human lifespan. It is medicine that is engineered to maximize human genetic potential for both health span and lifespan. Lifespan, we know, is an absolute value, is the number of years you're alive. Health span is the number of years you are functional enough to enjoy a high quality of life. How does longevity medicine do this? Longevity medicine does this by targeting the root cause of all chronic progressive disease, and that is aging, right? So right now, for the modern 21st century human, age is your number 1 threat to your health and your life. Next slide, please. If you will look at the 4 leading causes of death today, heart disease, stroke, cancer, dementia, 95% of these will happen over the age of 40. So it seems that age and time is a necessary but insufficient factor in developing chronic progressive diseases. And what is aging? To be honest, nobody knows. Not the leading experts, and in a room full of the best medical doctors, if I were to ask you what is the exact mechanism of aging, nobody will be able to tell me how or why this happens, right? We all know the universal hallmarks: telomere accretion, DNA dysregulation, loss of proteostasis, mitochondrial dysfunction. We know all that. That is not aging. Those are universal characteristics. So, since nobody can tell me what aging is, I decided to come out with my own definition, one that even a layperson can understand. To me, aging is simply nothing more than the loss of physiologic function over time. Next slide, please. That's it. That's what aging is. Difference between a young person and an old person is that a young person has at 100% physiologic function, at or near 100% cardiac output, at or near 100% renal function, hepatic function, musculoskeletal function, etc. As we get older, the amount of function we have declines. And the rate of that decline is basically the rate at which you age. When one or more of your major organs fail to reach enough function to sustain life, that's the end of the line for you. So aging is a gradual loss of function over time. You can see here a typical mortality curve for the average human, around 8 years. Now the good news here is, this loss of function is highly malleable. We have a lot of agency over how fast or how slow we actually age. Next slide, please. According to the world's leading genetic scientists, this is Professor Wei Hu. He is the CEO of Human Longevity in Beijing. He is also the partner of Craig Venter, the man who first sequenced the human genome. So they have been working on the human genome for over 20 years. And according to their team, for 95% of us, the genetic potential for human lifespan is between 100 to 120 years. 100 to 120 years. The average human is living 80 years. This means we are practically giving away 20 to 40 good years simply because we do not know how to manipulate aging. All right? Why is the average human only living 80 years? Let's take a look at the average human. Next slide, please. The average human is overweight. The average human does not exercise. The average human sleeps poorly. The average human is poorly nourished. The average human will be pre-diabetic or hypertensive by the time they're in their mid-40s and 50s. The average human will be on 3 or 4 maintenance medications by the time they're 65 and older. That is the average human. And that average human is lasting 80 years. Now the question we need to ask is this: how long would an optimal human live? If we can, through longevity medicine, optimize all of our physiological functions and make you as physiologically robust at all points in life, how long can you live? Next slide, please. All right, so here's the thing. The question that begs to be asked now is, why do we need longevity medicine? Is it modern medicine already trying to get us to live as long as possible? Is it modern medicine already trying to make us as healthy as possible? And the short answer to that is actually no. This is because modern medicine has actually evolved to delay death, not to prolong life. And these are two very, very different things. And this is not a criticism on the medical profession. I have the highest respect for you guys. It's just simply the way modern medicine evolved, right? Since the introduction of modern medicine in the 18th century, you would only really go to the doctor when you have an acute condition, right? When you are shot, when you're stabbed, when you get poisoned, when you're about to give birth. Even until this day, nobody really thinks to go to the hospital when they're healthy in order to stay healthy. And this is the problem. The paradigm with modern medicine is that our intervention begins when the patient is already in a diseased state. Next slide, please. All right. So here we see the intervention begins when there's already a problem. If, for example, I develop cancer at the age of 55, so I go to the doctor, I go see my oncologist, here's your radiotherapy, here's your chemotherapy, we'll surgically remove the cancer if we can, and then go home, we wish you the best. If I suffer a heart attack at the age of 65, here's the stent, here's the angioplasty, here are the statins, go home, we'll monitor you. That kind of intervention is very, very good at preventing immediate death, right? But it does nothing to alter the aging trajectory. Now, what if we can intervene long before disease happens? Next slide, please. With longevity medicine, we aim to intervene at a point where the client or the patient is actually at their healthiest. If we can extend physiologic function, we can not only compress the morbidity curve, we can actually extend the mortality curve, right? So what if the contract with the patient does not end when the acute condition is addressed? What if the contact with the patient was longitudinal? In our practice, we monitor our patients for at least 20 years. What if you can monitor them for 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Doing that, our hope is that we will be able to maximize health span. And if we can maximize health span, hopefully that will impact lifespan as well. So to be fair, doing this wasn't really possible before. We did not have the technology. But right now, next slide please. Right now we do. Now, thanks to AI, thanks to big data, thanks to machine learning, we now have the tools to level the playing field against aging. This is a sample of one of our dashboards that we use at Gaia Longevity, and we use this to track longitudinal data. Not only can we track longitudinal data for years, next slide please, we now have the technology to actually measure your biological pace of aging, right? This is the Senoclock. It's one of the AI technologies that we use from the UK. We use your blood work to determine your actual biological age, which is still dependent of your chronological age. You can see this patient is 35 according to her birth certificate, but according to her blood work, her body is actually closer to 40. And we have many such clocks that we use in longevity medicine. We have the Orvat clock, the ZAC clock, DNA methylation clock. All of these are available right now that weren't available before. What we also have available today is precision predictive diagnostics, right? With all genome sequencing, with 3 Tesla MRIs and all other high-tech imaging devices, we can now begin to detect disease in its infancy, long before they develop into something that's problematic. We can spot your problems and can begin to address them. Not only can we spot disease early, we now have the technology to be able to predict disease 10, 50, even 20 years down the line. We never had this technology before. Next slide, please. Also now, with the use of AI, we can collect longitudinal data of all of our patients. You don't see the devices that I'm wearing, but I'm wearing medical-grade sensors and tracking devices that keep track of all my physiologic functions, my body composition, my heart rate variability, my blood sugar, my blood pressure. 24/7, I know all of what my values are. My oxygenation levels when I'm sleeping, my pulse rate, my rate of movement. And tracking longitudinal data like this, it allows us to track our patients 24/7, 365 days a year. Never again will I walk into a hospital or a doctor's office and be told, Mr. Chan, you're now diabetic, you're now hypercholesterolemic. Because long before that happens, I will already know, and I will already be able to address the condition. And because of AI, we now have the means to do actual precision interventions. This is one of our platinum clients. He's contracted with us for the next 20 years. This man, 2 years ago, stands 5'8" and weighed 200 pounds. He was pre-diabetic and hypertensive. In a year's time, a year and a half, we were able to get him down to 148, which is his present weight, and we were able to remove all hypertension medications and diabetes medications. According to medical standards, our job is done. This man is officially well, not for longevity medicine. Now we ask, what's next? So we bring him to HLI, the facility in Beijing, to do a full head-to-toe physical diagnostics. And we find out that he is osteoporotic in the right hip. We find out that he has calcification in his coronary arteries. We also discover that he is positive for a signal copy of the ApoE4 gene, which means he's 35% more likely to develop dementia in the older years. So none of these are problems today. None, right? But we are not looking at 5-year risk. We are not looking at 10-year risk. We are looking at the next 20, 30, even the next 40 years. And by doing it this way, we can now begin to address the problem long before it becomes a major problem later on in his life. Now, do the interventions work? Next slide, please. This man is a type 2 diabetic. He is twice a day insulin dependent. This is his post, by the way. So we don't share patient information. We don't take it from Facebook, right? So you can see here, from August to October, we were able to drop 37 pounds. And next slide, please. Today, he is free of insulin. Today, he is free of any form of maintenance medication. And this is him right now. Next slide, please. Right, this next man, he's active 20 years, according to him. He has been trying to be fit. He's been working out. He's been running. This is what he looked like on the left when he came to us. 5 months later, 3 days shy of his 50th birthday, this is what he now looks like. Before he left for Malaysia, he sent us this golden gift to a golden boy. This was a few days before his 50th birthday. So, next slide, please. So, another client with kidney problems, we were able to optimize him, 49 years old. Thanks, man, bro, you've been really telling me straight up that I look younger. Well, he's biologically younger. Next slide, this woman, we've been able to drop 80 pounds off her. She is still with us today, and she's managed to keep up the weight. Next slide, another sample, hypertensive, pre-diabetic. Today he is like that. Next slide, please. So this one is a bit near and dear to our hearts. This is a very, very recent patient of ours. When we met him 3 months ago, he was 260 pounds. 260 pounds at 5'5". He had just suffered a heart attack, a near-fatal heart attack in July 25. And from that time, the wife has been begging us to come see him because she's heard about us through another heart attack survivor. And I tell the wife, actually, ma'am, we don't do home service. We don't visit the clients. The client has to come to us because we have to know that they are willing to do what we are expected of them, right? And so the wife for 4 months has been going back and forth, and we keep on refusing until one day she visits the office telling us, we promise my husband is going to come see you this time. She shows us the text, and the text says, I was on my way, but this morning when I went to the bathroom, there was blood in my stool. I panicked, so I'm going to have to cancel. When she showed us that text, we decided right there and then, okay, I told the team, we're going to go see you. And when we went to see him, he met us in his nightshirt and his shorts. He couldn't even get off his chair to greet us. He was completely ambivalent. He felt no joy, he felt no pleasure in life, and he was just literally waiting to die. He goes to us and says, I don't know why my wife brought you here. I'm not expecting to live to see the end of the year. This is a complete waste of time. And we tell him, look, your wife has been, I don't know if you know this, but your wife has been coming to us for 4 straight months asking us to come see you. We're now here. This is what we plan to do. If you want to give yourself one last chance, because the medical community has all but given up on him. He was supposed to do an angioplasty, but they weren't encouraging him to do that because there might be complications given his condition. And even if the surgery was successful, they weren't sure it was going to do much good because they didn't think he had long to live. So we asked for one last chance for his wife. He said, I will give you 1 month. In 1 month's time, he dropped 40 pounds. Today, he looks like this. He is down to now 190 something, right? In 3 months' time. And he finally decided to do the angioplasty. Not only did he survive, he was still in the hospital in 2 days. When he celebrated his 51st birthday, the first time he left his house, he actually came and visited us in our clinic, thanking us for his second life. So this is the thing that we all do as members of the medical profession. This is what gives us the satisfaction. So age reversal, is it truly possible? Next slide, please. I want to show you my lab values. This test was taken last November 16, 2023 at Human Longevity Incorporated with I, along with the parents, went to have our whole body diagnostics, right? So this is hot off the press, 20 days old. You can see my triglycerides went from 111 down to 82. My HDL cholesterol is elevated, which many people would say is a good thing. More importantly, my LDL cholesterol dropped from 245 milligrams per deciliter to now around 96 milligrams per deciliter, all without any medication. My testosterone went from the low side of normal to now the high side of normal. My fasting insulin went from 12 to 5, making me insulin sensitive. Next slide, please. So looking back, again, this is what I looked like when I was 47 years old, 15% body fat, pre-diabetic, hypercholesterolemic, insulin resistant, and fatty liver. If we talk about aging as the loss of function over time, I have lost, well, this is what I look like now. So today, 1 month shy of my 53rd birthday, I am now 10% body fat. I am now insulin sensitive. I'm normal glycemic, and according to my primary care physician, I have optimal cholesterol profile. And according to our 3 Tesla MRI, my liver fat is down to 1.5%. Ladies and gentlemen, this was my body when I was 22 years old, playing varsity tennis for De La Salle University. So I would like to end my talk at this point, but before I do, next slide, please. I want to share something else with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the face of medicine is changing, and it is changing very, very fast, right? With the advent of AI, with the advent of machine learning and big data, especially with the advent of therapies in the future. So I cannot share a lot of it, but some of you may have heard about gene therapy, senolytics, xenomorphics, neurodetectors. All of these are designed to slow down the aging process. When the advent of these therapies, if we do not pivot now, we will be left behind. I can already see what is happening in other countries, right? Longevity medicine is a very, very new field. That is the good news for us. We can become early adapters. There are very, very few dedicated longevity medicine institutes in the world. Next slide, please. There is Chi Longevity, led by Professor Andrea Mary in Singapore. The National University of Singapore, under Dr. Brian Kennedy, is also implementing a longevity program, and the Singaporean government is making it mandatory now for senior citizens to have 3 longevity medicine therapies in Singapore. They're very, very progressive. Shiba Hospital, one of the best in the world, they already have a dedicated longevity medicine center wing. And of course, there's Princeton Longevity in New York City. So what I'm saying is, next slide, please. If we can pivot early, if we can affiliate with medical societies like this, if we can include longevity medicine in our local hospitals and university curriculums. In the Philippines, we actually have the chance to be first in mind for longevity medical tourism in the Asia-Pacific region. But we have to act very, very fast. So I would like to invite you guys to collaborate with us. If you have patients that are in need of precision lifestyle interventions, if you have patients that you know can benefit or something like this, please send them our way, and we would be more than happy to collaborate with you, share data, and share our knowledge and our expertise. So finally, I would like to say that, next slide, please. Longevity medicine, it isn't about living forever. It's about maximizing the number of good years that you have when you are alive. And that's very, very important. Most of us are giving away 20, 30 years, good years, simply because they have no idea that this is possible. The average human will suffer greatly in the last 5% of their lives, simply because they lack the foresight to plan for how they will age. But aging is something that will definitely happen to each and every one of us. So life is already short. Let's make the most of it. Let's work together, making everybody healthy. So with that, I would like to open the floor to the questions. Thank you so much. Where's everything? Do we have any questions?
Space happy to the wisdom just
Thank you very much for the survey, Sam, and now being called our chairman of scientific committee, Dr. Scrediger. So our overall chairman, Dr. Heidi Pablo, and of course our IH president, Dr. Albert Evangelia. You will work if we begin our new solution. So it's talking about in the on the purpose in my talking about this.
Bumalik si Doc. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dapat lahat tayo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, di ba sagutin niya sana yung kung somebody else want to obey itong yung mga requirement?
Sir. If somebody wants to ask.
Ayun lang.
Okay. Kasi we said we wouldn't promote our practice. I just wanted to,
It's about the whole year between Paul. Pepper, you're going to
yes.
Kasi bakit kaya lang sila magtanong in the back
But, can I? Oh, of course.
Here to on and out. So it's what I am bad.
I am sir.
Honest.
Very good. Halata o sinong Ayos eh. Nakakaalata sila. May favoritism na yan.
Okay, diba pala talaga kapag diba talaga kapag may magandang babae pag mga Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.